In 2009, a single performance changed the course of a life. A Scottish woman, with the quiet grace of a storybook hero, stepped onto the stage of Britain's Got Talent. She was unknown, overlooked, and perhaps underestimated. But when Susan Boyle sang "I Dreamed a Dream," everything changed. Her voice struck the world like a bolt of lightning. But what many didn't know at the time was that this was only the beginning of an extraordinary journey. A journey filled with triumphs and challenges, and one that would see Susan face an unimaginable setback, a battle with a life-threatening stroke. In this story, we explore not just Susan Boyle's rise to fame, but her battle for survival, her triumph over adversity, and the inspiring power of resilience that has led her to dream again. Join us as we take you on an emotional roller coaster of recovery, strength, and a relentless spirit. This is the story of how Susan Boyle, the woman who captured our hearts, found the courage to sing once more. The dream begins, a voice found in the shadows. Before Susan Boyle became a household name, she lived a life filled with challenges. Born in 1961 in the small town of Blackburn, Scotland, she was the youngest of 9 children. From an early age, Susan showed a love for music, but her path was never easy. Her family wasn't wealthy, and her early life was shaped by the hardships of a working-class family. But even in the face of adversity, Susan never gave up on her love of music. She found solace in the songs she loved, retreating to the comfort of her imagination, and spent hours singing along to her favorite tunes. The beauty of music was something that no one could take from her. Susan was often teased for her appearance and struggled with bullying throughout her childhood. She was always a little different from the other kids, a quiet girl with big dreams and a big heart. But those dreams were often dismissed by others as naive, unrealistic. Despite this, Susan never stopped dreaming. She had one specific dream, one she nurtured from childhood. One day, she would sing in front of an audience, a real one. She didn't know how or when it would happen, but she was certain of one thing: her voice would be heard. As she grew older, Susan faced more challenges. She became a regular part of the community, but the pain of being underestimated continued. She worked several jobs, including as a trainee cook and as a caregiver for her elderly mother. Music, for many years, was something she only dreamed about, a quiet escape from her daily life. But Susan never gave up. Every spare moment she had, she would sing. In her bedroom, in the kitchen, or on long walks. Her voice grew stronger, richer. And deep down, she knew that the world wasn't ready for what she had to offer. By the time she reached her 40s, Susan had become somewhat of a local figure in Blackburn. She would often perform at church events, and while she hadn't yet made her mark on the world, there were small groups who recognized her incredible talent. Still, the reality of stardom seemed like an impossible dream. Until 2009, that year, Susan Boyle decided to take the chance of a lifetime. The British talent show Britain's Got Talent was searching for new performers, and despite her doubts, Susan applied. She knew this was her moment, her one chance to fulfill the dream she had carried for so long. When Susan arrived at the Britain's Got Talent auditions, she was greeted with the usual skepticism. She was a 47-year-old woman from a small town, not the typical star material that the judges were used to seeing. As she stood in front of the panel, Simon Cowell, Amanda Holden, and Piers Morgan, the audience couldn't help but doubt her abilities. But they couldn't have been more wrong. The moment Susan Boyle began singing "I Dreamed a Dream," everything changed. Her voice, pure, powerful, and effortlessly beautiful, captured the attention of the entire world. The crowd fell silent, and the judges were visibly moved. The skepticisms about her age, her looks, and her background all vanished in the span of just a few seconds. When she finished her performance, the audience erupted in applause. For the first time, Susan Boyle was not just a woman from Blackburn. She was an international sensation. Her rise to fame was swift. After her performance aired, she became a global star. Everyone wanted to hear her story. Everyone wanted to know about the woman with the stunning voice who had captured the hearts of millions. Her debut album, I Dreamed a Dream broke records and became one of the best-selling albums of all time. But Susan's story wasn't just about singing. It was about overcoming a lifetime of obstacles, a story of resilience and hope. She became a symbol of perseverance for people around the world, proving that dreams, no matter how impossible they seem, could come true. Act 2, a life-changing setback, the stroke. In 2014, just 5 years after Susan's meteoric rise to fame, her life took a devastating turn. While on a break from touring and recording, Susan suffered a stroke. The news shocked her fans and the world. A stroke at such a young age seemed almost unimaginable. Susan, the woman who had captivated millions with her voice, now found herself struggling to speak and move as she once had. The stroke left Susan with many challenges. Her speech was slurred and her movement was hindered. What had once seemed like an unstoppable force now felt fragile. For the first time, Susan was faced with a harsh reality that her body and her voice might never be the same again. But even in the face of this overwhelming setback, Susan's resilience shone through. She knew that recovery would not be easy, but she also knew that she couldn't give up. Not now. Not after everything she had already overcome. The battle for her health was just as important as the battle for her dreams. The months that followed were filled with grueling rehabilitation, speech therapy, physical therapy, and countless hours of rest. But Susan's determination never wavered. She kept working hard day after day to regain the strength she had lost. There were days when she felt as if the road ahead was too long and too difficult. But Susan pressed on. Her family was by her side through every step of her recovery, offering support and encouragement. They knew how much this meant to her. They knew that if anyone could overcome this, it would be Susan Boyle. Over time, Susan began to regain some of her abilities. Though she wasn't the same as she had been before the stroke, she was getting stronger. She could speak more clearly, and her singing voice, though still recovering, was slowly returning. Susan's journey back to the stage was not a quick one. It was a journey that took patience and perseverance, but it was a journey that she walked with determination. She knew that her love for music would guide her through the darkest days. And she also knew that her fans were waiting for her, eager to hear the voice they had fallen in love with. Act 3, the comeback, a new beginning. After a year of recovery, Susan made her return. It wasn't with a huge concert or a world tour. No! Her comeback was more personal, more intimate. Her fans had followed her journey through the media, and many had been eagerly awaiting her return. They weren't just interested in her music, they were invested in her story. In 2015, Susan began performing again, first at smaller venues and then in larger spaces. She recorded new music and shared her story with the world. Her voice had come back, but it was different now. Stronger in some ways, softer in others. But it was still her voice, the voice that had once stunned the world, and now it had a new kind of power. Her 2019 appearance on Britain's Got Talent marked an emotional and triumphant return. As she stepped onto the stage, she was met with a standing ovation before she even sang a note. The audience, who had once been skeptical, now recognized Susan Boyle not just as a singer, but as a symbol of strength and resilience. The performance was more than just a moment in her career. It was a statement to the world. Susan Boyle had faced the hardest battle of her life and had emerged victorious. She had come back, stronger than ever, and was ready to sing again. The world watched in awe as Susan Boyle reclaimed her place in the spotlight. But more importantly, she reclaimed her life. She had overcome the odds, and the world cheered her on. Act 4. The journey continues, still dreaming. Today, Susan Boyle continues to inspire millions with her music, her journey, and her unbreakable spirit. She is no longer just a singer. She is a beacon of hope. Her story is one of perseverance, resilience, and the power of dreams. Though the road was difficult, Susan has proven that no matter the setback, no matter the struggle, there is always room for hope, for healing, and for new beginnings. Susan Boyle's story is a reminder to us all that no dream is ever truly out of reach. It may take time, it may take effort, but dreams have a way of finding us when we least expect it. And with the right amount of heart, courage, and determination, they can lead us to places we never imagined possible. Susan's journey isn't over. It continues to inspire, to uplift, and to remind us all that it's never too late to chase our dreams. Whatever the future holds, we know one thing for certain. Susan Boyle will keep dreaming, and so should we.